Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I pick a book every week and I give you the summary of it as well as my rating. This week we have Beloved by Toni Morrison. It follows a formerly enslaved woman known as Sethe and her journey to a free state of Ohio, where she's there with her 4 kids and her mother-in-law. When she is there, she ends up sacrificing her 3rd child because she doesn't want her to enter the horrors of slavery and return back to the plantation. And the story takes place with both flashbacks, dual perspectives, and present moment POVs. And then 18 years later, it kind of just shows how Beloved and her daughter Denver are navigating their space and being isolated from their town, from their families. And that's when a new character comes in known as Beloved, and she's almost the reincarnation of Crawling already, so to speak. And they just have to navigate the isolation and loneliness that comes along with the infanticide and being a fully enslaved woman. As a book overall, I would give the whole book a 4.5. Okay, so my first critique and kind of the main reason why the score had a minus 0.5 is the actual haunting that was done at 124. So the moving of objects, the house shaking, kind of happens for the first time on page 121. It reads, "The house itself was pitching, Sethe slid to the floor and struggled to get back into her dress while down on all fours as though she was holding onto her house down to the ground." Paul D goes into saying, "You want to fight? Come on, God damn it, she got enough without you, she got enough." I think the actual haunting does nothing to add onto the plot. I think it would have been better if it was just Beloved. I know it kind of gives a little bit of continuity from the death of Crawling already to the point where Beloved is introduced, but I think it's unnecessary. It brings kind of like a mockery and somewhat like almost like a silliness to what happened to Crawling already and the sacrifice that Sethe had to make, choosing if she wants her child to live, in slavery in those conditions, or whether or not death was a better option, and she chose what she chose. And I feel like the guilt that she had, that you could see throughout the whole book, even when Beloved leaves and she's left empty, I think that would have been emphasized more if it was just, Crawling already's death and then 18 years later Beloved shows up. And the haunting has no actual aid in any of the plot, and it just makes it almost silly with mixing such a historically relevant and sensitive topic with supernatural elements. Next, moving on to section 2 of Beloved. One thing that I really liked about Toni Morrison's writing is how consistent she is and how she develops the storyline of each of her characters. I think Paul D and Sethe, she did a really good job of explaining their background in order to understand them as present characters. And I'm going to be focusing on Pauly D specifically for this one. So in page 150 and 151, it's basically Paul D. He goes to Sethe's job, and he's gonna walk her home, and he's on the verge of telling her how Beloved has taken advantage of him. In doing so, he doesn't quite say it, but he starts off saying that like she's gonna think that he's less of a man. I think it's very important, both for his character and for general male stigmas, to acknowledge the fact that a lot of men have this feeling, and I think it's good that she did. But more importantly, I think this scene really reflects on his previous experiences, especially from the prison that he was sent to after attempted murder on the man that he was sold to, and just how the prison was sexually abusing him in many ways. It very much is similar to this scenario and compares. And in that situation, he was powerless, and which similar to his situation with Beloved, he was as well. It gives a good consistency between the characters, and I like the way that she develops each of them. And Paul D having this sexual violence reoccurring in his life, it makes it easy to follow the character and have a specific like distinction of who he is and what his thoughts are and why he has them. So lastly, for the third section, I will be talking about one of the things that I really did enjoy, which was the ending. So from 319 to 322, where Paul D goes back to 124 and kind of aids Setha back to health and teaches her that she can be the source of her own happiness, while she's kind of down in the gutter and kind of willing to give in to death in Baby Suggs' bed. I do really like the ending and how neatly it was. I don't think it was rushed. I preferred it over the piano lesson. I think that one was really rushed, but Toni Morrison took her time with this, and I think having Paul D be the one to like coax her out of the of kind of like the saddened state she is really significant. Also, just the overall symbolism behind her in Baby Suggs' bed, just because Baby Suggs was the first one to flee and go to Iowa, where she had to leave her child Hal. Obviously, it wasn't as significant of a story as Setha, just because she didn't have to, kill anyone or get haunted. But I do like the parallels between the reality, and I really enjoyed the ending. So that's all for this book. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next week to review the piano lesson.